You might think this is a reminder of your own daily life and real emotions. Reading Tagore might offer a new perspective. We shouldn't confine ourselves to high cliffs or wait in solitary admiration for the perfect state of love. Like fishes in the water, only that fish knows whether the water is warm or cold. The difficulty in discussing poetry often lies in the interpretation, which can sometimes seem redundant. Some might say, just read it and don't overanalyze, because poetry is different from novels, essays, or dramas. Poetry captures a moment, a snapshot of feelings, emotions, or actions. To understand it, you need to read it repeatedly. When your soul becomes particularly sensitive, and you find it related to your own stories, you'll feel that you're part of the poem, and the poem will become a part of your life. So don't worry. Sometimes, whether or not you fully understand it, if reading the poem brings you joy, relaxation, or even tears, and you feel cleansed, that's a special experience. It means you've truly connected with the author and the poem, and that's a meaningful encounter. Returning to Stray Birds, the book contains many poems about nature. This is the collection's greatest feature, Tagore's meticulous observation of everything around him. He combines everyday small details with philosophical reflections, creating a sense of Zen. We often say that someone has a poetic quality. In Dream of the Red Chamber, Lin Daiyu has a poetic and spiritual quality. Wang Shifeng is also charming, but she lacks that poetic and Zen aspect. She is shrewd and worldly, with a sharp mind. Let's read some poetic lines from Stray Birds and just feel them. If you can sit down now, open this app, and look at the subtitles below, you can read along with me. My thoughts shimmer with these shimmering leaves, and my heart sings with the touch of this sunlight. My life is glad to be floating with all things into the blue of space, into the dark of time. After reading this poem, you might feel as if you're sitting face to face with the poet, sharing joy, dancing together, and experiencing a touch of melancholy. This is called empathy. There are many such lines in Stray Birds, which describe how being truly close to nature makes you increasingly sensitive. For instance, after a continuous rainy spell, suddenly seeing the sun brings you joy. Or, after working in the concrete jungle of the city with a 996 schedule, when you suddenly get a vacation and decide to go to the grasslands, the forest, or the sea, you feel a sense of openness. Sometimes while walking, you look up and see the sky. Every year, I have moments when the sky in Shanghai is beautiful. I often look at the clouds and say they are Hayao Miyazaki's clouds. At such moments, we feel genuine joy, not knowing exactly why, just feeling good. This is the charm of poetry. A good poet not only sees what you haven't seen and observes details, but also describes what he sees with his own reflections, expressing it very precisely. You might feel he has articulated feelings that you had, but didn't express. For instance, Tagore writes, "By plucking her petals, you do not gather the beauty of the flower." This is immediately understandable, right? No further explanation is needed. There are many such lines in Stray Birds. When translated, they seem very simple. But considering that they were written by someone over 100 years ago, the poems may appear plain, yet they reveal profound philosophy, a distinct quality, and a sense of relaxation and inclusiveness. In Tagore's time, his work was ahead of its time, because no one wrote poetry like that before him, making Tagore unique. Similarly, before Tang poetry, no one wrote like that, which made Tang poetry a peak. There is a famous poem by the poet Bei Dao, known for being the shortest poem, just one word, titled Life. The word is net. Immediately you think, net, how profound, right? Poets can distill ideas to a high degree of concentration. Tagore writes, "Let him only see the thorns who has eyes to see the rose." This is very understandable. Today we might say similar things, but before Tagore, no one used such expressions. Using the thorny rose to symbolize beautiful yet dangerous things began with Tagore. There are many such poetic lines. Let's read a few more, for example. The moon has her light all over the sky, her dark spots to herself. If you were to write a card to your teacher or say something to your mother, copying this would be quite fitting. Tiny grass, your steps are small, but you possess the earth under your tread. Isn't this like ordinary world? Everyone deserves their own world, even if it's ordinary, and it's worth fighting for. Also, the water in a vessel is sparkling. The water in the sea is dark. What does this make you think of? Tagore also has some novel metaphors that still feel unique today, such as set the bird's wings with gold, and it will never again soar in the sky. Golden shackles, right? It immediately reminds me of Eileen Chang's novel, The Golden Kange, where the character Cao Chikiao, despite having a lot of money, loses everything else. The golden shackles eventually destroy her and those around her. Tagore shows equality and respect for all things in the world. Here, you can see that many things are interconnected. Tagore's widespread appeal comes from his ability to evoke resonance in people. Additionally, Tagore's works often compare humans to natural creatures. For example, the fish in the water is silent, the animals on the earth is noisy, the bird in the air is singing. But man has in him the silence of the sea, the noise of the earth, and the music of the air. Humankind is indeed marvelous, and we find Tagore to be marvelous too. Although he sees humans as different from fish in the water, beasts on land, and birds in the sky, he isn't arrogant. He doesn't claim to be the highest being among all. Instead, he simply says that humans embody these characteristics. Isn't that equality? Because we share similarities, we should respect, treat, and protect each other equally. I often think that people who are indifferent to the abuse of small animals, who cruelly treat wildlife, or who show no reaction when a species becomes extinct, might have read too little of Tagore's poetry. A person can truly live only by being open and soft. Tagore often marvels at the uniqueness of humanity, noting our ability to think and experience rich emotions and life experiences. To him, this is the greatest difference between humans and animals. The precious thing about being human is our capacity for thought, communication, and understanding that life should pursue certain values.